Buckle in, sports fans. You're listening to The William Haynes Show. The program will be starting in just a couple of minutes, so grab your popcorn and get ready to enjoy the show. While you're waiting, make sure you're following us on social media at WHBC Stream and staying tuned to WHBCStream.com. We're so glad to have you today on the program, and we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line on Twitter or call the show 352-639-0036. And thanks again for tuning in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66
HBC. Well, it is a good evening to you, and how you be? William Haynes here. You there here on this Wednesday night at 9:52 now on this William Haynes Show, live from the WHBC studios in Clearwater, Florida. Have quite a bit to talk about tonight. Mainly the Rays' 5-0 loss at the hands of the Boston Red Sox. They end up splitting the two-game set in Tropicana Field. The Rays now drop to 5-7. The Red Sox advancing to 4-8. Have also some hockey to talk about. The Lightning, I should say, picked up another win in the round robin, a 3-2 win over the Boston Bruins. So at least Tampa Bay picked up one win over Boston tonight, but couldn't make it 2-0. Also have a lot of live action going on. The Montreal Canadiens and the Pittsburgh Penguins are tied at the end of the second period. We also have on the monitor here the Yankees and Phillies in the second game of the doubleheader. It looks like the Yankees are probably going to end up taking this one. They've just now made it 3-1 at the top of the seventh, no outs. The Phillies did take the first game of that series. It was Zach Wheeler, I believe, going 6 innings in those weird 7-inning doubleheaders. I just wanted to give you the phone number. You can call the show. We have a line open, and we would love to hear from you at 352-639-0036 at WHBC Stream is the Twitter if you want to express your thoughts there. Of course, a lot of different ways we could go with the Rays right now. And if you have any thoughts, any Rays thoughts, we would certainly love to hear them, and we can kind of talk it out. As I mentioned on the monologue on Monday's show, I wanted to express some caution with Rays fans, kind of saying that this team isn't any good, the season's over, blah, blah, blah. It was an 0-5 road trip, and I thought, they come home, they've got 2 games against the Red Sox, 4 against the Yankees. I'd express there, as long as they kind of split that, so take 1 of 2 from the Red Sox, which they did, and at least 2 of 4 against the Yankees, which is certainly possible with the way their pitching rotation is going to line up. It's definitely going to be a weird series. 4 games in 3 days and 4 games in about 40 hours. That's what Dave Will said on the radio broadcast tonight. And also, when we talk about the Rays game tonight, I just do want to give a disclaimer. I did not watch this entire game. I did listen to about the first 7 innings or so on the radio, and then watch the last couple of innings at home. And also, if you're not familiar with the program, we take a break about every 20 minutes, give you some sports updates. So we might do that. We'll probably do that at 10 o'clock. About an hour program tonight. Again, we would love to hear from you, all your Rays and your sports thoughts. The number to call is 352-639-0036 at WHBC Stream is the Twitter. And without further ado, tonight's 5-0 Rays loss at the hands of the Boston Red Sox. It was Ryan Yarbrough taking a loss. He's now 0-2. Went 5 innings pitched, gave up 5 earned runs on 8 hits, walked only a man, struck out 5, and gave up 2 home runs. Each of those home runs were 2 runs apiece. In the 4th inning, it was a 2-run shot by Verdugo to open the game up. That was 2-0 in the 4th. And then it was also a 2-run shot from Chavis that made it 5-0 with an RBI single within there. So it was that 4th inning blast that got away, and then Yarbrough ended up getting dinged up in the 6th, obviously going 5+. So, and then it was Andrew Kittredge in 6 pitches that cleaned up the mess. So there are some silver linings. I think the bullpen looked really good. They got 4 innings clean out of the bullpen. 1 from Kittredge, 1 from Alvarado, who looked pretty good through 21 pitches, but looked all right. 1 clean inning of Diego Castillo. I've been the biggest proponent of getting Castillo into the game more often. I think he's been underutilized so far. I'm not sure if Kevin Cash has to be careful with him. I know he missed some time on the paternity list, but he seems healthy. He seems good. Is throwing strikes consistently, and then in the 9th, it was Jalen Beeks in a scoreless inning with a couple of strikeouts. Fun fact, he also now leads the team in strikeouts over Morton, which I think is interesting considering Beeks hasn't been at his best. But really, with this game boiled down to more of the same for the Rays. They were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position and left a total of 7 men on base. It was Jose Martinez was 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position. Meadows, who had not such a great night, he was 0 for 2. Adames 0 for 1. Brandon Lau 0 for 1. And Mike Brasso 0 for 2. The way the lineup stacked up tonight, it was Diaz leading off, then Meadows, Jose Martinez, and then it was Renfroe batting cleanup, Brasso, Lau, and then lined out by Adames, Zunino, and Kiermaier. The Rays got absolutely nothing out of the bottom of their order. Adames 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. He struck out in a big spot. We'll talk about that a little later. Zunino's struggles continue. He was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. His batting average is all the way down to .077. I thought he could have had a chance to do something tonight. He had 3 career homers against the Red Sox starter Martin Perez in about, I believe, 18 at-bats. That was also, there was something like that earlier. I believe it was against Alex Cobb. But Zunino had hit a grand slam, and of course this year did nothing against him. So I've been a big Zunino defender. I like what he does behind the plate. I like how he calls games, all of that. As the Rays start seeing some more right-handed starters, they have an off day tomorrow, but we'll see Masahiro Tanaka, a righty. I would love to see Kevin Smith get the start, his first start of the year, a lefty bat, and see what he can do. I'm not ready to move off of Zunino completely, but I mean, the lineup itself is flawed. You look back to a year ago where the Rays had done so good. They got off to such a hot start. If you recall, they were first in the American League East. You know, they were winning so many games. It was because they had scored so many first inning runs. They had a hot offense. The top of the lineup was good. It comes to mind, it was, Austin Meadows leading off, then Tommy Pham. You had Avisail Garcia. G-Man Choi was hot at that point. And guys like that, and able to score in the first and second inning runs. The Rays, to this point through, we are now 12 games into the season, have just 1 run in the first and second inning of every game that they have played so far, and they have also trailed in 11 of their first 12 games. I believe the only one they didn't trail at one point was that 5-1 win over the Blue Jays in the opening series, and they have also, the opponent has also scored the first run in all of those 11 games as well. So the Rays, their offense is off to a cold start to start the game. That's been the case. And then they can't come back late. And you can't ask a lineup like this. It's not a horrible lineup, but this isn't how this team was built to win. I know they made some moves to try and get more home runs. They made some trades for the long ball. Hunter Renfroe comes to mind. Jose Martinez, to an extent, he was brought in to crush lefties. He went 1 for 3 tonight with a walk and a double. So you got a little bit out of him at that 3 spot. But it was also 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position. So you didn't get him a hit when it really counted. And then you look further down the lineup. I mean, it's just Yandy Diaz was a guy that was expected to kind of continue his home run hitting ways. Of course, really powerful line drive hitter. He led off tonight, went 2 for 4 with a couple of doubles. So it looks like Yandy Diaz may be able to get things turned around. I think Cash should continue to have him lead off against lefties. I like that matchup. he works long at-bats. He hasn't been trusting his swing, so he takes a lot of pitches, and that led to him, I'm not sure if he's still leading, but at one point he was leading the major leagues in walks. So that's what you want. We saw with Austin Meadows working a nice at-bat to open yesterday's game. That opened the floodgates for their 5-1 win. So I think that's a big part. They need a guy who can work good at-bats to lead off the game, and I think they need some more production. At the bottom of the order, it is now 10 o'clock, and we are going to take a quick 2020 sports break. We'll give you some baseball scores first. Remember, during the break, you can call the show at 352-639-0036. We would love to hear from you. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter, and we're going to take a short break. HBC
2020 Sports.
A handful of games already in the MLB that have gone final. Of course, it's the Red Sox 5-0 over the Rays. The Mets picked a 3-1 win over the Nationals. Max Scherzer only went one inning. He had to exit with an injury. In the first game of the doubleheader, the Marlins won 1-0 over the Orioles. They are currently playing Game 2. In the first game of the doubleheader, Phillies and Yankees, it was the Phillies winning 11-7. Looking for other scores that have gone final. We have some still in action quite a bit. The Angels and Mariners in the early goings. In the second, it is 0-0 tie. Bottom of the third, the Dodgers up 2-0 over the Padres. Also in the third, the Athletics up 2-1 over the Rangers. In the fourth, it's the Astros 4, Diamondbacks nothing. In the fifth, the Giants up 3-2 over the Rockies, who are off to an 8-2 start. In the second game of the doubleheader in Camden Yards, it is the Marlins up 2-0 over the Orioles. In the seventh, it is the Brewers 1-0 over the White Sox. In the sixth, Cubs 2, Royals 1. And the Phillies down to their final 3 outs in the bottom of the seventh. In Game 2 of their doubleheader, the Phillies are down 3-1 to the Yankees. A couple other scores. In the bottom of the eighth, it's the Indians up 2-0 over the Reds. In the bottom of the ninth, it is the Blue Jays up 2-1 over the Braves. And one that has just gone final, the Twins win 5-2 over the Pirates. The Twins advance to 10-2.
Hey sports fans, William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 1019 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 10:03, we are back on the William Haynes Show talking all things Rays, MLB baseball, NHL playoffs going on right now. Also some NBA here on the monitor. Down to their final 3 outs. It's the Phillies down 3-1 to the Yankees. Hopefully the Phillies can find a way to come back and take this doubleheader, win both of those games. That would certainly help the Rays out a little bit. I'm not sure first place in the American League East is longer realistic for the Rays, but 4 games set. We're going to see how these two teams line up against each other. Zach Britton just retired McCutchen, so there's now one gone. And Philly also in the monitor in the second intermission. It is the Canadians and the Penguins tied 3-3. So that'll be an exciting third period. Hopefully we'll still be on the air by the time that game wraps. I know the Canadians took the first game of the series, and the the Canadians as a 12 seed, not expected to do anything, maybe get swept out by a much more talented Penguins team. The Canadians do win the first game. Penguins come back to win the second, and now in a 3-3 tie, this series could certainly shape up to be something. Just wanted to give you the number to call in one more time to the show. We do still have a line open. We'd love to hear from you. The number to call is 352-639-0036 at WHBC Stream. You can tweet us your thoughts as well. We're going to continue to dissect, give you a post-mortem, I should say, I always mess that word up, of tonight's Rays loss. We talked about some things that the Rays need to improve upon, of course, leaving 7 on base, going 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. That's really much of the same. I had honestly hoped, just as you, the listener at home, had as well, after the 5-1 win last night, you think maybe the Rays can get this thing turned around. And of course, they come out tonight and do much of the same as they had in that 0-5 road trip. They are facing Martin Perez, a guy who was 1-1 coming into it. A lefty that, you thought, I don't love how the Rays line up against lefties. I like much better how they line up against righties. But they do have some good righty bats. Yanni Diaz, Hunter Renfroe, Jose Martinez, so on and so forth. Brasso, who I'm not big on right now. He went 0 for 4 tonight with 2 strikeouts, and I didn't see the game, but listening to the broadcast, he looked absolutely lost out there in left field. Don't believe he made any errors. No, it doesn't look like he did, but I mean, some plays he did not look great. Obviously, you want Meadows in left field. They gave Meadows a half day off, which I had kind of hinted at on last night's show. Just coming back from COVID-19, he had some symptoms. Obviously, you want to work him back in slowly. It'll help to have the off day tomorrow. I think that'll really help the Rays, and they can kind of set their bullpen up the way they want it and really gear up. I think if you can really punch the Yankees in the mouth here in this 4-game series this weekend, maybe the Rays at that point can get things turned around. But next Monday will be a really good time to kind of look at the state of the Rays, if you will. We will not be on the air tomorrow. Of course, the Rays on an off day. I'll be working late. There's not going to be much to talk about. There is some playoff hockey, but obviously I'm trying to track down the show's NHL correspondent, friend of the show, Aaron. I'm still waiting to see if we can have him on the show tonight. Maybe we can, hopefully, talk about some playoff hockey. But we'll be back on the air on Friday. That will be to break down the game 1 of Rays and Yankees. It looks like it'll be Masahiro Tanaka, the righty, v. Blake Snell, the lefty. So at the end of the show, we'll go ahead and preview Friday's matchup, kind of hint at maybe how they'll line up against the righty Tanaka. As I said, I like how they line up against righties more than lefties, and the Rays will be facing Garrett Cole in one of the 7-inning games on Saturday. Now, the Yankees did just close out Game 2 of the doubleheader, so the Yankees and Phillies both took 1 game apiece, so the Yankees will stay right where they are in the standings, and let me just check to see. It looks like they'll be still 4 games ahead of the Rays. And the only thing between the Rays and second place in the AL East is the Orioles, who have been dominated by the Marlins. It looks like the Marlins are going to end up taking all 3 of their games. It's so incredible how in 3 games against the Marlins, the Orioles have yet to score a run, but of course they sweep the Rays in Camden Yards. This season makes absolutely no sense. Really hoping the Rays can get this thing turned around. Obviously, I don't have any notes. I wasn't glued to the TV watching the game tonight, but I can tell you the Rays had chances to get at Martin Perez, the starter for the Red Sox. Somehow, some way, ended up getting 5 clean innings, gave up just 4 hits, obviously no earned runs. He walked 3, struck out 4, 91 pitches thrown, only 48 were for strikes. I mean, I'm sure you guys that were watching the game were probably losing your minds. Pitches that the Rays, they could have probably taken more. They only got 3 walks, which to me is absolutely absurd. I'm trying to look at who it was. It was, Renfroe had 3 walks in the game, so that's a good look for the cleanup hitter tonight, and it was a walk for Martinez. So I'm assuming that's where those came from. So it was in the 4th inning. It was Verdugo getting the 2-run homer to open the scoring. So bottom of the 4th, the Rays were down 2. It was a double, I believe, for Jose Martinez. Renfroe worked a walk, so it was runners at first and second with no outs. Brasso grounded out, I believe. Lau flied out. And it was Meadows with 2 on and 2 out. And I wasn't watching. I don't know how close it was, but Dave Wills called it almost like it was going to be a home run, and it was a ball that just went foul. So, of course, they take a tough break there. If that ball ended up staying foul, and it sounded like it almost barely hit the foul pole, that would have been a 3-2 game, and you think maybe Ryan Yarbrough pitches a little better, or they make an early call to the bullpen that's relatively fresh at this point. Nick Anderson, I would assume, would have been ready to go tonight. He only pitched 11 times last night. So, I mean, I don't want to give excuses. I don't want to play the what-if game, but maybe a ball that goes a couple of feet to the right, and we're talking about a completely different game, but of course we're not, and we have to kind of deal with this as it was. But the Rays had their chances to get to Perez, and that's really, if you want to pin the loss on one thing, a Red Sox pitching staff, we predicted, and correctly so, that was going to doom them, the Red Sox, this year, and you don't score any runs against them in 9 innings. You want to talk about why the Rays aren't doing so well. That's exactly why. They got pushed around by an Orioles pitching staff that's not very good at all. I know Alex Cobb has been good of late, but the two soft-tossing lefties, Wade LeBlanc and the other one for the Orioles that beat the Rays. And then on Martin Perez, a guy that's not great, threw about half his pitches for strikes, and you can't get any runs off of him in 5 innings. They stranded runners on base again. 7 men left on base, 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Obviously, tonight's loss not on Ryan Yarbrough. The silver linings, if I had to say, I would go the bullpen. I like Andrew Kittredge, 1 inning of work. I know only 6 pitches, but you got to like what you get from him there, trying to get him back. He has a 4.50 ERA. I like Alvarado pitching a scoreless inning. He threw a little bit too many pitches, 21 times. Obviously, Castillo doing more of the same, and I believe now 3 1/3 innings pitched, has yet to give up a run. So I'm hoping they will give him more action in more high leverage spots. And then Jalen Beeks, an ERA of 4 right now, but pitched a scoreless inning with a couple of strikeouts. With an off day tomorrow, I really like how the Rays are going to be able to line up their bullpen. As we look at the starting pitchers, we don't know which order it's going to be on Saturday in the doubleheader, but we do know the pitchers. On Friday, it'll be Blake Snell v. Tanaka. One of the Saturday games will be Glasnow and Garrett Cole, and the other one will be probably Yanni Chirinos versus a bullpen day of the Yankees, and then you go to Sunday, and it'll be Charlie Morton v. Paxton. Paxton with an 13.50 ERA has not been good at all. Obviously, Garrett Cole is going to be tough. Tanaka on Friday, I honestly think they can get to as, of course, a righty. I know he threw a complete game shutout in Yankee Stadium against the Rays last year. He's, I guess, in his career looked pretty good against the Rays, but I love how they can line up against righties with all their lefty bats. Hopefully Yoshi can get things going. He's been cold as of late. I love Meadows in a potential leadoff spot. Guys like Brandon Lau, I'm very much hoping that Joey Wendell would be playing at shortstop instead of Adames to get that extra offense. And also, Wendell is no slouch at shortstop either. And then Kevin Smith hopefully will be catching. You go maybe KK in center field, and then probably Hunter Renfroe in right, even though he's a righty. But obviously he hit the game-winning hit, the go-ahead hit yesterday, a 2 RBI double. He went 0 for 1 tonight, but did work 3 walks. I'm going to have to check the film on that and maybe look at his at-bats. But you like that at least on the box score. One thing I want to mention, Randy Arozarena, he was a piece in that Jose Martinez trade. Of course, the Rays giving up Matthew Liberatore, one of their top pitching prospects, in exchange for Jose Martinez, a right-handed bat that can't play the field but can crush lefties, and Randy Arozarena, and of course Martinez, the more well-known player that the Rays get in return. You'd think that that's the most significant piece, but obviously there's always something more in it for the Rays. You think maybe they know something about Randy Arozarena that the rest of baseball and the Cardinals don't. He had a really good spring training. I believe he was hitting about 400 in however many games. Was swinging the bat really well. He's he's a small, kind of speedy guy. You think can play the outfield well, can run the bases well, and obviously his bat. I know he worked some walks too. Had a really patient eye, kind of like Wander Franco. I'm not comparing the two players, but you look at young guys that can take pitches, but also can swing the bat well. On the radio broadcast, they were kind of likening him to what they saw to a guy like Carl Crawford, a Rosarena guy that was dealing with COVID-19. He's just been recently cleared to play. He was nowhere near as close as Meadows was to return. He's in the alternate site in Port Charlotte right now. But Dave and Andy were saying tonight, a guy like that can really change your lineup, that can give a jolt. I'm hoping, I believe Mark Tompkins was saying it might be another week until we see him. So we'll see how this Yankees series goes. And then I think Randy Arozarena could be an X factor as we go down the line in this season. A youngster, maybe at the top of the order, that could give really good at-bats. I have high hopes for him and what he can provide to the Rays, and I think that can maybe change some things. The outfield looks tricky right now. Manny Margot is on bereavement of his recently late father, so we're hoping that him and the rest of the Margot family is doing all right. So you're missing him right now. The Rays did call up Ryan O'Grady, a lefty bat that they also acquired from the Cardinals, a guy that can play first base in the corner outfields. So I'm not sure. We might see him this weekend, but you have a guy like that can play the outfield. I certainly hope that we do not see Brasso back out there. And I don't know. They had high hopes for his bat, a guy that they thought could hit for power. Goes 0 for 4 tonight with 2 strikeouts. He's now batting .250 on the year, albeit in limited action. But I'm not loving from what I'm seeing from him right now. He can play decent defense. He's played a couple of games at first. He can also play second and third. I don't think he's a shortstop type. Obviously, they like him more than Daniel Robertson. That's why Robertson is in the alternate site in Port Charlotte and not Brasso. But as far as outfield goes, hopefully Meadows can be our left fielder going forward. Obviously, Kiermaier in center. I'm hoping his back can get going, but it looks like more of the same as it looks like, the Canadians had a shot blocked on a power play. It's 3-3 with 16 minutes left to go. And the game's just going to give you the phone number. Again, it is 352-639-0036. We would love to hear from you tonight and get your Rays thoughts and kind of how you're feeling about the team right now. I know the vibe around the team is mostly negative, but I think if we can kind of keep our heads up, I never put the Rays out of it. They're always going to find a way. Obviously, in 2018, when they had that horrible start and they end up getting things turned around towards the end of the season to win 90 games. Kevin Cash is great at managing on the fly. If something's not working, he's not going to stick with it. He's still toying with the lineups. He still hasn't found what he liked. Obviously, missing Meadows to start the year has hurt, but I think an off day tomorrow, and I think Meadows will be ready to be your everyday left fielder. So I think that certainly helps. I think now you finally have your outfield set, as I said. Meadows in left, Kiermaier in right, and hopefully Renfroe, who has actually come on pretty nice defensively in right, as well as maybe get that bat going, that the kind of home run hitter that he was supposed to be when you bring him in. I think you get that going. Meadows giving you quality at bats in the leadoff spot. Yandy Diaz gets that bat going. He had a slow rolling single last night, which was his first hit in quite a few at bats, and went 2 for 4 tonight with 2 doubles. I think you get him going. That provides some juice. Jose Martinez, if he can start really crushing lefties. I mean, this team obviously has pieces. Brandon Lau, who I didn't mention, he's still batting .300, a great lefty bat, and you've got a good bench. They're going to have to get more from the bottom of the order, as I said. One thing I'll say, and I like that they put Kiermaier in the 9 spot tonight. I do not want to see the Rays to continue putting the catcher in the 9 spot, only because the way some managers do it, they want their most gimme out in the 9 spot for whatever reason. I would prefer to have the most gimme out, whether if it's a Nino, fine, put him in the 7 or the 8 spot, because, and we saw this with Wendell in the Orioles series. He batted 9th in, I believe, the Sunday game. If you can get a guy like Wendell, or I'm trying to find someone maybe that's good on getting on base, maybe Adames with his .389 on base percentage, heavy guy like that can get on base in the 9 spot, whether it's 1, 2, however many outs, maybe no outs, and then you flip the lineup over. You get the leadoff hitter, whether it's Yandy Diaz against lefties or Austin Meadows against righties. You get them up to the plate with a man on base. I think that could certainly help the lineup. You got to do everything you can get. I'm hoping. I see what they did with Kiermaier, maybe a speedy guy that could get a bunt single or whatever the case is. He did end up working a walk, but goes 0 for 2 tonight. So I like that they went someone like that in a 9 spot. Don't love the Kiermaier pick, but I think their head was in the right place. We're headed now towards another 2020 sports break. We're going to give you the hockey scores this time out, as the Canadians did just cash in on a goal. So they're at 4-3 with 15 minutes left to go. That series is tied 1 game apiece. Remember the number to call. I'm going to keep giving it to you. Please call me to make sure the number I'm paying for is actually working. The number to call is 352-639-0036. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We will be right back. HBC NHL scores. As we said, the Canadians just taking a 4-3 lead over the Penguins. Montreal hoping to pull off the upset in this series. Some games that have gone final. The Panthers won over the Islanders 3-2, facing elimination. So the Islanders will lead this series 2-1. Game 4 is on Friday. Also, the Coyotes 4-1 over the Predators. They take a series lead 2-1. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second round robin contest at 3-2 over the Bruins, and they're in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed in the East. The Avalanche won 4-0 over the Stars in the West round robin, and a game coming up tonight, 10:30, the puck will drop. The Oilers and Blackhawks. That series is tied 1 game apiece.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 1019 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 10:22, we are back on the William Haynes Show. Not sure how much longer we're going to go. Probably at least get you one more 2020 sports break so we can give you some basketball scores. Just a couple of games still underway. Most of them have gone final. We'll give you those at 10:40. Again, the number to call, 352-639-0036. We'll be talking Rays, rest of baseball, a little bit of hockey, trying to get NHL correspondent of the show, Aaron, track him down maybe if we can. If not, maybe Friday. There'll be a lot of Game 4s on Friday, so we'll start seeing the qualifying rounds come to a close, and we can finally see how the real playoff format is going to be. So, talking Rays, and now I think we'll talk a little bit of the rest of the MLB, as I'm trying to find a decent enough game to get on the monitor here. We'll go Giants and Rockies. The Rockies at 8-2 are trailing the Giants by a score of 4-2, so that'll certainly be an interesting contest. The Rockies really an interesting case right now, a team that we really didn't expect to do much in the National League West, a team that we expected to be towards the bottom with these Giants that they're playing, but the pitching staff has been overachieving. The lineup has been good. We know from Nolan Arenado and David Dahl, and I'm trying to think of some of these names. We'll get them here in a second. That have just been absolutely splendid. Trevor Story has been great. Charlie Blackmon, Daniel Murphy. Not a great bottom of the order, but the top obviously has been enough to get things done. I think even in a 60-game season, I hate to rain on their party, but even in a 60-game season, I think they're going to come back to earth just a little bit. I think that's only nature We see teams get off to hot starts all the time. I believe it was a couple of years ago the Mets were off to like an 11-1 start or whatever, and they end up finishing 15 under 500. So there's always a way of things working themselves out. But the Rockies right now, if they can continue to ride the momentum they're on, they could be in decent shape. A game that I did want to talk about was the Mets getting back in the win column, as we are not a Mets show, but we do a little bit of New York sports here at WHBC Stream. Wanted to give them a little bit of attention. It was finally Rick Porcello, the Mets offseason addition to help bolster the pitching staff. Finally had his first decent start. Went 7 innings pitched, gave up only a run on 5 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts. 7 innings again through only 81 pitches. So he could have easily gone complete game, but I understand in a close one. You turn it over to one of your best relievers, and Seth Lugo goes 2 innings throwing just 19 pitches, 15 for strikes. That tells you everything you need to know from Lugo. So formula for the Mets to win tonight did cash out, get a good start, and then only having to go to one pitcher out of the bullpen and just enough offense tonight. Again, it was Max Scherzer leaving the game after just 1 inning. I'm trying to figure out... they didn't immediately announce why. Basically, it looks like he just said he threw 27 pitches, not as sharp as usual. A couple of 2-0 counts. They didn't announce anything. He just didn't look like himself. So you think maybe forearm, elbow, whatever. He's just not feeling right. Again, he leaves the game after just 1 inning. It was Fetty, a guy that they had started a couple of times. He pitched 3 innings, ended up taking the loss, and they go to a variety of guys over the bullpen. He'll again lose 3-1. Dominic Smith, the guy that drove in 2 runs tonight in a 3-1 win. So Dominic Smith was a difference. Again, a guy that Mets fans everywhere have been clamoring to get more at-bats. Now with Yoenis Cespedes out of things as he has opted out in a really, really strange saga. It has opened the door for Dom Smith, who can play the outfield, albeit not great, but takes his spot there as the left fielder / DH, as Dom Smith was the designated hitter and the cleanup man. Went 1 for 3. Again, 2 RBIs. He's batting .222 on the year. It is a strange season. A Mets lineup that was supposed to be really good. Again, Cespedes out. Alonso off to a slow start. He's batting just .180. Conforto's been as advertised, .313, getting on base about 41% of the time. You look down the lineup, guys like Wilson Ramos. Billy Hamilton, a guy that they added, batting 9th today, went 0 for 4 in his debut. So they were able to get a win over the Nationals. The Nationals in a really weird spot right now. They had to take some time off. And speaking of time off, how the Marlins have been able to get through this. They have a week off, and they have swept a doubleheader over the Orioles. So they've taken 3 games in 2 days over the Orioles, and the Miami Marlins have advanced to 5-1 on the season. I had mentioned that any possible momentum that the Marlins had gained is absolutely completely gone after the time off, after they took a series in Philadelphia. And of course, they send 21 total members. I believe it was 17 or 18 players. A completely different roster, and they come in and sweep the Orioles. I want to just see, I'll pull up the box score for game 2 of the doubleheader just to see what it was. It was their starter went 2 innings, and then I guess just bullpen day. I'm looking at their lineup, guys that I even know. Jonathan Villar leading off. Corey Dickerson, a former Ray. Jesus Aguilar, Brian Anderson, Matt Joyce. I mean, man, they got pieces. The bottom of the order doesn't look like they have much going. But, hey, man, the Marlins, it's enough. I want to see some games that they have coming up if they're going to play a good team, because they've only played the Phillies and the Orioles so far. They are at 5-1. They are first place in the National League West. So it looks like they will be... the schedule is all kinds of messed up because of all the cancellation. It looks like they'll be... I don't know why this is so weird. It looks like they'll be at the Mets, at the Blue Jays. So more of the same, I guess. So maybe the Marlins can pull something off. They'll play the Rays in a 3-game series, August 28th through the 30th, and then right back September the 4th through the 6th. So they'll play the Rays all bunched up 6 games, and it looks like 8 days. So the Rays, of course, will see these Marlins a little bit down the line. It's just kind of amazing what they're doing. Again, the number to call is 352-639-0036. We'll probably give you another 2020 sports break and get off the air shortly thereafter. Just kind of going through some box scores right now and getting a feel for what's been going on in baseball tonight. Let's take a look here. The Indians picking up a 2-0 win over the Reds as they continue to plug along again. Terry Francona at 61 years old is dealing with some gastrointestinal issues. The Indians have no idea when he's going to be coming back. He's undergone some tests recently. I believe he had those issues dating back to spring training, so not sure what it is for him, but honestly, a skipper like him could hurt the Indians' chances. They are now at 7-6 after tonight's win over the Reds. It seems like the Indians have played 100 games against the Reds already. It was Clevenger getting the win. Brad Hand, another save. As I'm trying to look. Yeah, it was not a great start for the Reds. It was Antone going just 4 1/3, not one of their better starters, it would appear, and Clevenger going 5 2/3. Brad Hand the save, and not much offensively, obviously just 2 runs. You look at their lineup, Cesar Hernandez, a good leadoff hitter, he's batting .300. Jose Ramirez, 277. Frankie Lindor, 231. I mean, they've got switch hitters out the wazoo, and that's kind of their formula to win. They've got a great starting pitching staff, not a great bullpen, but a good closer in Brad Hand. Speaking of closers, just wanted to mention Craig Kimbrell. I believe when we went off the air, the Cubs had it was like a 3 or 4 run lead over the Royals, and it ended up being a one run game that the Cubs ended up winning. So Kimbrell, a guy has been haunting Cubs fans so far this year. I want to see, yeah, they're playing right now. We'll take a peek. The Cubs up 2-1 over the Royals in the 7th. We'll see. It was Yu Darvish. Wow, Yu Darvish has gone 7 innings strong in this game. 1 run on 5 hits, 93 pitches. So he may come out for an 8th. We know David Ross. He was a catcher on that Cubs 2016 World Series team. He let I'm trying to remember who it was. It was Carl Hendricks went complete game on opening day. So he may be a little aggressive with the starters. So I'm surprised Yu Darvish, he's a 2.12 ERA, so he's really come on strong here. A pickup for the Cubs a couple of years back. They were hoping he could be a piece. And a Cubs team that I kind of counted out. It was a tough NL Central. I didn't think tough is relative. I think none of the teams are that great. So to each individual, it's kind of tough, but it's not that none of the teams are great. But the Cubs, a win tonight would put them at 10-2. And one of the best teams in the National League, put them up with the Dodgers and the Padres and even really the Rockies. I just want to give you a quick update. It looks like with about 8.5 minutes left in the third period, the Canadians still have their 4-3 lead over the Penguins, so we will keep our eye on that as that game comes to a close. Again, the number to call, 352-639-0036 at WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We'll go to a break in about 8 minutes, and I'll probably get off the air shortly thereafter. Some more MLB action. I'm looking for some games that have gone final. The Tigers and Cardinals series has been postponed as the Cardinals have continued to have some more COVID cases. The Twins winning 5-2 over the Pirates. We'll take a little bit of a quick look at that. The Twins now at 10-2, first place in the American League Central. It was Dobnak getting the win for the Twins. There was an interesting note that they had mentioned on the Rays broadcast. He had grown up as a Pirates fan, and I guess the broadcast had shown a bunch of pictures of him at Pirates games. So he pitches for the Twins at PNC Park and gets the win. So that's pretty cool for Dobnak. So congrats to him. Go 6 innings and just 71 pitches, not bad. And Trevor Williams going 7 innings strong for the Pirates, but getting the loss. Gave up only an earned run. The only run for the Pirates was a 2-run homer for Josh Bell, who's really their only offensive piece. I mean, you look at the top of the lineup, ouch. Adam Frazier leading off 163, Kevin Newman 167, Josh Bell is only 222, although he's 3 for 4 tonight. Moran, who batted cleanup, 220, Brian Reynolds 135. I mean, that's a lineup void of any offensive skill, and it shows. The Pittsburgh Pirates are now 2-10, firmly out of contention somehow already in this season. The Blue Jays are back in action. It's a 2-1 game. Or has that one just gone final? I don't know why ESPN plays these games with me. Yeah, that game has just gone final. The Blue Jays 2-1 over the Braves. So that's not necessarily good for the Rays. We want the Blue Jays to lose so the Rays can firmly get that second place in the American League East. They beat the Braves, who dropped now to 8-5. The Blue Jays advanced to 4-5. It was Hyunjin Ryu, who the Rays are familiar with, getting the win in just 5 innings. Gave up just a hit, no runs, 84 pitches. Anthony Bass, the save, after their previous closer had gotten injured in that game against the Rays. Sean Newcomb for the Braves getting the loss, just pitching 4 2/3. And again, I'm trying to remember which guy it was for the Braves that had gotten hurt. I want to make sure I get his name right. But it was one of their more important starters that was out of things. I'm hoping I get his name here quickly. It was Mike Soroka that is down for the year with an Achilles injury. So they are sorely going to miss him. Fulty Newich, a guy that they DFA'd. So the Braves' rotation not in a great place right now. I know their bullpen isn't great either. So if the lineup's not going to keep producing, they're going to be in some trouble, though. They are in second place in the National League East. I want to take a peek at the standings for that, because I think the Mets can maybe get things turned around. That is a weird division, though. Right now, it is the Marlins in first place, of course, at 5-1. The Braves half game back at 8-5. And then you got a weird next 3 teams. The Nats at 4-5. The Phillies at 2-4. I'm not sure what we have in Philadelphia yet. And the New York Mets at 5-8. Who, at least for me, selfishly, I'm obviously a Rays fan first, but I watch the Mets a little bit. I'm hoping they can get things turned around. They're in 5th place, but only 3.5 games back, so certainly still in the mix, without a doubt. And we were talking about the Cubs. If they win tonight, they'll advance to 10-2. The closest team is 4 games back. They are the only team above 500. The second place team is the Brewers at 4-5. So weak division. The Reds at 5-7, a team that we thought would be a little bit better. The good rotation, decent bullpen, pretty good lineup. They've been underwhelming, but certainly still very much in the mix. Again, the top 2 teams in every division is going to make the playoffs, and you look at the Cardinals, who have only played 5 games, so we don't really know what they are. The Brewers, I don't think are much. Obviously, the Pirates are already out of it, so it's a 3-team race there for that second spot. I think the Cubs are certainly in the driver's seat to get that first seed, so the Reds certainly still in the mix. Didn't want to get off too far on a tangent. Again, 4 minutes until the break. The number to call, 352-639-0036 at WHBC Stream is the Twitter. Looking for, maybe we've already blown through all the games. Let's take a look at the Brewers getting a 1-0 win. That has gone final over the White Sox. It was Dallas Keuchel, the loss. Josh Hader picking up his second save for the Brewers. Also something I wanted to mention, Nick Anderson, I had mentioned that had gotten a save in last night's win over the Red Sox, and it was his first save of the year. It was also his first save as a Ray. As good as Nick Anderson was out of the bullpen last year, I guess just didn't get a spot in a save situation. That was the big story with Anderson, was he was clearly the Rays' best relief pitcher towards the back end of the season, but a lot of times the way Cash did it, there was no set closer. You put your best relief pitcher on when the moment calls for it, whether it's in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, whatever, the highest leverage spot, and Nick Anderson dominated. But it was kind of a funny story. He gets his first save, and they ask him about it, and he says, "Oh, I don't know. I don't really follow that stuff." So it's kind of funny for him to shake that off. But anyway, I guess a little bit of an upset. The Brewers 1-0 over the White Sox. The Brewers advanced to 4-5. The White Sox dropped to 7-5. So I forget the White Sox are kind of right there with the Twins in the American League Central. For the Brewers, it was Hauser going 7 innings of no-run ball through only 87 pitches. It's just so bizarre to see a pitcher go that deep and under 90 pitches. And again, Josh Hader, a clean 9th inning for the save, and Dallas Keuchel getting the loss. 7 innings pitched, a run on 5 hits through 97 pitches, and both teams now are at second place in their respective divisions. The White Sox 3 games back of the Twins at 7-5. So that's a real interesting division as well, the American League Central. Obviously, the Tigers overachieving at 5-5. They're gonna come back to where they should be, and the Royals, I think, have already proven themselves out of it at 3-9. But at that point, it's a 3-team race for 2 playoff spots. The Twins seemingly in the driver's seat at 10-2, and then you have the White Sox at 7-5, and the Cleveland Indians at 7-6. So it's kind of the battle for second place of a team in Cleveland that the window is maybe starting to close in the White Sox, a team whose window playoff window of contention is just about to open. So that'll be a really cool thing to follow as this season goes down the stretch in the American League Central. Also, the hockey, just a shot on goal saved by the Penguins. The Canadians are still up 4-3 with about 5 minutes left in the third period, so we will certainly be on the air by the time that game comes to a finish. If the Canadians win that, they'll have the Penguins facing elimination, a 5 seed versus a 12 seed that we thought would be easily won by the Penguins, and another great save by Pittsburgh on an odd man rush there. 5 minutes left to play. It is just about 10:40 here on this Wednesday night. Again, number to call during the break, 352-639-0036. This sports break, we're going to give you some basketball scores. Here it is. HBC.
2020 Sports.
Only one NBA game still currently in action at halftime. It's the Celtics up 71-52 over the Nets. And some final scores. It's the Raptors 109-99 over the Magic. The Jazz 124-115 over the Grizzlies. The 76ers 107-98 over the Wizards. The Nuggets 132-126 over the Spurs. And the Thunder 105 in an upset to 86 over the Lakers.
Hey sports fans, William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for Williams' world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 1019 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 10:42, we are back on the William Haynes Show, probably trying to go about another 15 minutes or so to get you to the 11 o'clock hour. Again, the number to call in the final 15 minutes is 352-639-0036. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We have a little bit of talk about during the break. I dug up some tweets from Topkin that was tweeted out right as I went on the air. A couple of notes. The Rays option Ryan O'Grady and Ryan Thompson to get down to the 28-man limit. If you weren't aware, the season opened up with a 30-man roster, and after 2 weeks it was going to cut down to 28, and 2 weeks after that they were going to cut down to 26. But now it has just been approved that once it cuts down to 28 tomorrow, it's going to stay that way through the postseason instead of cutting down to 26, which helps. But the Rays did have to make a couple of moves to get under the 28 limit, as the Penguins have about a minute and a half left on a power play here, which is 3 minutes left in the game. So it's do or die here for the Penguins here in Game 3. So the Rays did option Ryan O'Grady and reliever Ryan Thompson down to the alternate site at Port Charlotte to get under that 28-man limit. And also they're going to have to make a corresponding move when Manny Margot comes back from the bereavement list. So they're at 28 right now. And also another quote, I'll just throw it in, Willie Adames. Quote, "What I can tell you, the bats were quiet tonight. No dip, Willie." But I appreciate the honesty. Obviously, not being able to score off of a pitcher in Martin Perez who threw about half of his pitches for strikes, and he only walked 3 times. And it is kind of ironic that Willie's the one that says the bats were quiet, because in the biggest spot of the game with 2 on and 2 out, he ends up striking out. Obviously, he had a pitch that was so close to being a home run and is just foul. And as I said, that would have been a completely different ball game. The Rays would have been up 3-2 at that point. But of course, the ball goes foul, and the next pitch he strikes out. So we're in a different world where the Rays are 5-7 and about 4 games out of first place. But again, they'll play the Yankees. The Yankees aren't in a great spot right now either. They were using the bullpen up. Another thing that I'm seeing some notes here on ESPN, Yankees manager Aaron Boone says he's, quote, a little bit concerned about Gary Sanchez's elbow getting hit by a pitch. So he may have to miss a day or two, which against the Phillies tomorrow and then maybe on Friday. But again, they had to go a bullpen day in one of these doubleheader games. They'll do the same on Saturday against the Rays. Obviously, they're not getting the same off day that the Rays are tomorrow. The Yankees will be in Philadelphia. So I think it does line up good for the Rays in that aspect. They'll still be in the 72 degrees, and you always know there's some Tropicana Field dome shenanigans whenever the Yankees come to town, as was the case with the Red Sox. I love when we can irritate those two fan bases with our, quote, poverty franchise stadium, although I love the Trop, and I'm sure every other Rays fan does as well. But with the Rays, again, Ryan O'Grady, who we did not see, someone I was talking about earlier in the show that we might see play the outfield instead of Mike Brasso. We are not going to see him, as he has just been optioned. And Ryan Thompson, a guy who loaded up the bases last night, brought the tying run to the plate, and they bring in Nick Anderson, who of course strikes out the next 2 to get his first save as a Ray. Also 40 seconds left in the power play for the Penguins. They're down 4-3 and have just pulled the goalie, so they have a 2-man advantage here. That's certainly something to keep an eye on. And again, they're going to have to make a corresponding move when Margot returns, so I'm not quite sure what that move would be. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure you bring Margot back up. I mean, that's something to talk about. The way it's put is that Cash is planning on bringing him back up, and, Eric Neander and company. But you look at the lineup, you got Meadows, Renfroe, and Kiermaier. That's your 3. And of course, they're going to need some off days, but Brandon Lau can play the outfield. Joey Wendell has proven, albeit just a couple of years ago, that he can play the outfield. I don't understand who you're going to send back down as I look at this roster. Obviously not one of the catchers. They like having 3 of those. I can't. Maybe Brasso. Maybe you do a Brasso for Margot. I wouldn't be mad at that. I would prefer it that way. But then you're down a versatile infield type, which that doesn't leave you with much defensive replacements on the infield. Obviously, Yoshi Tsutsugo is a minus third baseman, as is Yandy Diaz. He's not great at first either. Jose Martinez is not a good first baseman. You have Choi, I guess, as your more defensive first baseman. But Brasso, a guy that's maybe a late game replacement in that regard. He can do first and third, and I guess even a little bit of second. So in that regard, I wouldn't be big on setting down Brasso, but they're going to have some tough decisions to make again. And I can't really tell you who it would be. If it was me making the decision, I'm not sure that that's my prediction, as the Canadians just killed the power play but are still down a man, as the Penguins have gone empty net. Just a minute to go, and a shot on the empty net just wide. So a minute to play and icing cold. So again, final about 12 minutes of the show. Number to call, 352-639-0036. This coming out, Rays option O'Grady and Thompson, which I like the move to send down Thompson only because he looked okay his first couple outings. I know he pitched on opening day, and I believe again during that Blue Jay series, but we have enough of those soft-tossing sidewinder types. I don't think Ryan Thompson was the guy to fit in that bullpen. I think they have pieces like that enough. Again, Aaron Loop, kind of one of those types. You have Jalen Beeks, comes to mind. Oliver Drake. You got Andrew Kittredge. You have those kind of B-type relievers in those situations. I don't think they needed another win, and of course, they put Thompson with the lead and proceeds to load the bases with 1 out. So I think that was that's what did him in ultimately, but I think that's the right move, and we will not see O'Grady, so we'll be down an outfielder while Margot is on the bereavement list. And again, I'm not sure you bring him back, although they would have to make a corresponding move as the rosters are now down at 28. So we're now finally getting into the situation. We haven't had to deal with it yet. 30 was more players than the Rays necessarily needed, but now you get down to 28, and it's those tough decisions of who stays, who goes. And I would assume, I believe this came out yesterday, that Margot's stay on the bereavement list would be no shorter than 3 days, but no longer than 7. So that would put us here on Wednesday at some point over the weekend, or maybe on Monday. My guess is they would wait until after that Yankees series. I want to take a look at the Rays' schedule moving forward. I believe they're going to be at Boston next week. I know from that much. So again, 4 games in 3 days against the Yankees. They do get an off day tomorrow, which I think will help. So on Monday, it's 4 at Boston, and then to finish the week, it's 3 at Toronto. So that's going to be a tough road trip for the Rays, but honestly, we're going to have to cross that bridge when we get to it, as now there's just 12 seconds left in the Canadiens-Bruins game, and we'll see. We'll keep our eyes down to 5 seconds. This game is going to be over. The Canadiens will take Game 2 in a surprising upset, and the 12-seed Canadiens have now pushed the Penguins to elimination in their 2-1 series lead. I believe they play, I want to make sure, I believe they play again on Friday. We'll take a look on tomorrow's slate. They don't typically play back-to-backs. Yeah, they're not playing tomorrow. Again, we'll be off the air tomorrow. There's not a whole lot that's really going to go on the Rays. Again, an off day. Hockey tomorrow, it's the Canucks and Wild Game 3. That series is tied 1 game apiece. Caps and Flyers round robin game, a Golden Knights Blues round robin game, and then a Maple Leafs Blue Jackets game 3. That series is tied 1 game apiece, and the Flames and Jets in game 4. Calgary with a 2-1 series lead can put that away and punch their ticket to, at least in my eyes, the official kind of playoffs. And then on Friday will be that crucial game 4. That would be incredible, both for the Penguins and the Canadiens. The Canadiens, a team that the team that people pointed to saying that the NHL put too many teams in the playoffs, and here they are going to beat one of the East top contenders in the Penguins. So maybe the Penguins Stanley Cup window finally coming to a close. Of course, Sidney Crosby and all those guys. I guess Crosby's still maybe the best player in the NHL, but it's not enough to beat the 12-seed Canadiens, and I don't know what. So game 4, that's 4 o'clock on Friday. They can put it away. A really good slate on Friday that we'll have to talk about. Hopefully we can get the show's NHL correspondent Air in front of the show to talk, because pretty much after Friday we'll probably have some series locked up and we'll have a pretty good idea. I believe game 5s will be on Saturday and Sunday. So definitely Monday we will know how 1 through 8, how the East and West will officially line up, as also we have on the monitor just underway. 12 minutes left in the first period. The Blackhawks and Oilers, no score there. That series is tied 1 game apiece. Also another 5-seed versus 12-seed, a Blackhawks that surprisingly pulled off game 1. So if this is anything like the other series, we may see the Blackhawks take a series lead. But again, on Friday, a lot of good games. As I said, Islanders and Panthers, that'll be game 4. Islanders lead that series 2-1. Really should have had the game today, but the Panthers scored a couple of power play goals and stay alive there. A series that I'm not really interested in, Predators and Coyotes, game 4. Arizona leads 2-1. And again, Penguins Canadiens at 4 o'clock. Canadiens 1 win away from punching their ticket. Game 4 between the Oilers and the Blackhawks. Game 4 between the Leafs and the Blue Jackets. And Game 4 between Canucks and the Wild. So there's going to be a lot on the bone there. And then maybe talking a little bit of tomorrow's baseball games. Trying to see if there's any scores that have gone final. Again, final 7 minutes of the program as we take you up until 11 o'clock. Just like Ryan Yarbrough, going a little bit deeper into the game than maybe we should. But trying to get that hour, keep the length going. Top of the ninth, it's the Cubs 4-1 over the Royals. I'm not sure if they plan on sending Craig Kimbrell back out there. That would be kind of funny, as he almost blew a save versus the Royals last night in the seventh. Giants 4, Rockies 3, and some games on the West Coast about midway through. Nothing really of note. Every other game has gone final, and I don't believe I missed any scores there. Looking at tomorrow's game, seeing if maybe there's some matchups that pop off the page. Mike Minor v. Mike Fiers. A couple of teams. Oakland has really turned things around at 7-4. I'm sure they'll take second, if not first, really, in the American League West. That's a division that is completely up for grabs. The Rangers obviously haven't shown much at 3-6. The Yankees and Phillies close out their series. Jordan Montgomery v. Zach Eflin. So the line Yankees -150. I would expect them to win and advance to 10-2, but we'll see. An interesting matchup: Reds and Indians. Luis Castillo v. Cookie Carrasco of the Indians. He's looked great after coming back from a bit of a cancer scare that he had. You got to feel great about Carlos Carrasco. Great story. He's 1-1 with a 3.75 ERA, as the Blackhawks has just taken a 1-0 lead with 10 minutes to go in the first period. So as we said, maybe another potential upset type. A real nice shot from the top. I don't want to say top of the key. That's the basketball term, but from one of the face-off circles. I got to learn my hockey lingo a little more. Blue Jays and Braves. Local product Nate Pearson, who looked great in his first start against Touki Toussaint. The Braves, the guy that the Braves have forced into the starting rotation, but has not looked good at all, at least against the Rays in that 14-5 win. Oh, do we wish we could have that time back? It doesn't look like there's a whole much else that stands off the page. It's a light MLB schedule tomorrow. I think some teams other than the Rays getting some off days, so there's not really much to miss. And I guess with about 4 minutes left, we can go ahead and preview tomorrow's Rays game. Again, it will be, I want to make sure I can get the, it'll be Blake Snell v. Masahiro Tanaka. Tanaka, no decisions yet for him, a 3.38 ERA. Wow, he's just pitched, is this right? He's only pitched 2 2/3 this year? Yeah, that's right, because he just had his first start. So really, we might be seeing technically 2 bullpen days for the Yankees. They announced that they're going to go with one of those on one of the Saturday game doubleheaders. I mean, I'm sure Garrett Cole will give them 7, so they'll have Britton and Ottavino and all those guys to go to. But, you know, Loaizaga, the Yankees have got pitchers out the wazoo. Tanaka's first appearance, he went 2 2/3 against the Red Sox, gave up an earned run on 4 hits. 3 strikeouts, a walk. So, what was his pitch count in that game as we pull up the box score? Also in Colorado, it's the Giants up 4-3 in the 8th. The Rockies, really not firmly, but they've cemented themselves as first place in the National League West after the Padres have really been giving it to the Dodgers the past couple days. So, Tanaka threw 51 pitches in that game. Again, he got hit in the head in a line drive just as summer camp came back on the 4th of July. It was off of the baddest state, and it was like 110 miles an hour to the head. Obviously not very far away, right off the mound. And this was his first start back, so threw 51 pitches. I would expect more than 3 or 4, which, funny enough, is the same for Snell, who is expected to go 4 or 5. So we're going to see plenty of relievers tomorrow. But I think the Yankees bullpen is taxed. Again, the Rays get an off day tomorrow. The Yankees don't. They're going to have to play the Phillies, who have already kind of taxed their bullpen in the doubleheader today. So they don't get length out of Tanaka. Again, I don't see him going more than three really, or 4 innings. They're going to have to go to the pen. The Rays will probably have to do more of the same with Snell. So hopefully Snell, who's had his fair share of struggles against the New York Yankees, comes to mind back to last year in Yankee Stadium. He only got through a third of an inning. Got absolutely blown up in an afternoon game. I'm sure that will kind of be what ties him to the Yankees until he can show really much of anything else. And then, obviously, Tanaka, you're not going to get length out of him. A right-handed starter, the way I would line the lineup, again, I love the way that they can line up Against righties, obviously, it would be Setsugo in the lineup, getting him back probably at third base. I would have Kevin Smith catching. I would have Austin Meadows leading off. So let's give it like this. So Blake Snell is pitching. Kevin Smith I would have catching, and then I would go G-Man Choi at first. Brandon Lau at second. I would go Joey Wendell at shortstop, Setsugo at third, and then outfield from left to right. Meadows in left, Kiermaier in center, and I think you'd have to go just Renfroe in right. But he would probably bat, I would have to guess, 6th or 7th versus a righty. So that's how I anticipate the lineup rounding out. I'm hoping that we will see Kevin Smith get his first start of the year at catcher, a lefty bat that they like a lot coming out of camp. Again, that is on Friday. The Rays have an off day tomorrow. They lose 5-0 tonight against the Red Sox. They split that 2-game set, unfortunately, after looking so good yesterday. Hopefully they can take the off day and spend some time in the batting cages, maybe do some infield drills, all that stuff. Again, the Yankees are going to have to play the Phillies again, so you like how this series lines up. A doubleheader on Saturday, again a game on Sunday. So a 4-game series. The Rays have to take 2, but you're hoping that they can maybe shock some people and take maybe 3 or 4 of the games. I want to thank everyone that listened into the program tonight. Again, we'll be off tomorrow, but we'll be back Friday just as the Rays. We'll see you then.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66. The Fan.
HBC.